In late January, Russian state media announced that the new thermal sights for tanks, specifically for use by the tank commanders, have been developed and have entered service with the Russian armed forces. The sight in question is the TKN-3TP, a modification of the TKN-3 sight that has been present on the Russian T-72 tanks, pretty much all variants, as well as on T-80B and T-80BV tanks, including the most modern T-80BVM. Of course, there have been slight modifications to the TKN-3 since its introduction, but overall the system remained the same. TKN-3 has always had a day channel and a night channel. The night channel would either be first generation or second generation image intensifier, aka night vision, depending on the variant. This means that even the most modern variant of T-72 and T-80 omitted a thermal channel for the commander and only relied on the old night vision for spotting targets at night, which is obviously not good at all, especially when we look at the modern Western tanks, which have had CATV, short for Commander's Independent Thermal Viewer, for decades. Reading about the specifications of this new sight, it seems that the thermal integrated into it is the same one used on the 1PN96MT sight I talked about recently. For those who haven't seen the video where I talked about it, to sum it up, this thermal is a second generation uncooled thermal with 640 by 480 resolution and 3 km detection and 2 km recognition range. The 1PN96MT sight has been developed as a cheap sight for mass production by the Russians, and so has the thermal integrated into it. And as I said, based on the characteristics of the TKN-3TP thermal, it is the same one. I went back to check if the T-72 tank we have seen with the 1PN96 sight might have the new Commander thermal installed, but it seems to me that it does not. The only way to tell the new and the old system apart is by the 3 buttons present on the new TKN-3TP sight, since the thermal channel is not displayed on the monitor like the one of T-90M for example, but in the sight itself. Now, if this is truly going to be installed in mass on the Russian tanks, it is an obvious upgrade, there is no doubt about it. But this sight has one major flaw: it is not stabilized. TKN-3 sights have never received any form of vertical stabilization. They have always been meant to be cheap and easy to produce. Only the TKN-4 sights used on T-80U and the T-90 variants have full stabilization. On TKN-3, it's always been down to the commander to hold the sight still as much as possible for vertical stabilization, which is not good at all. But so far, we have not seen any confirmation that the sight is actually being installed on the Russian tanks, which is why I waited like a month to actually make a video about this. I was hoping we would get a visual confirmation, but so far nothing. But as I previously said, it is hard to tell them apart, and the only way to actually tell them apart would be to get footage of some of the tank's interior, and those are not very common. But it took a long time, for example, for the T-62M tanks equipped with thermals to actually be seen in Ukraine. It took months since the announcement, so maybe it will take a while before we actually see these sights in use, if all of this is true, of course. That would be it for this short video. If you like my content, you can support me on Patreon. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Have a nice day.